Welcome to the Bret Boone podcast. I am Bret Boone, and today on the program, I'm joined by a good buddy of mine. His acting career spans over 50 years in the business, and he returned to the podcast today to discuss his latest movie. It's a big one. Uh, long-awaited premiere of Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, I believe it is. A lot of us are
Yes, it
going to
is.
say, a lot of us are going to say it's Beverly Hills Cops 4, but it's the official is Beverly Hills Cops Axel F, where he resumes to his role as Taggart. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Ashton. John, thanks for coming back on the program.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Good to see you again.
You know, you were one of my first guests years ago coming on this. Look what you did. You springboarded this thing. It's a juggernaut now.
What?
You were you were one of my first original guests, Johnny, on the Bret Boone podcast, and now look
Yeah.
where we're at. We're world famous.
Oh, great. That's
So,
great, isn't it?
um, okay, to the Beverly Hills Cop franchise. Why now? What made you guys get together and do it?
Well, they've been talking about doing it for since the third one, which I didn't do since '94. So it's been 30 years. They've been talking about doing another one. The third one wasn't quite right, and I actually was committed to do another film. I did Little Big League instead in Minnesota, and so I couldn't get out of that contract. But they've been talking about this for a long time, and Eddie, kept going over different scripts, and he never liked them. And then when Jerry Bruckheimer got involved again, it all changed because Jerry's the best producer in Hollywood, and he got it all together. And they called me, and I flew to L.A. and met the director, who this is his first feature film. And I kind of questioned that, but then knowing that Jerry wanted him, Jerry doesn't screw around. Jerry goes for the best. And Mark Malloy ended up being a terrific director. And he told me he wanted to bring it back to the 80s. And I said, I love it. And then I read the script. I loved the script. We were all back together again. And I said, I'm in. And it all happened. It was really funny the first day on the set. We hadn't seen each other in a long time. Judge and I kind of keep in touch every now and then, but it was like we never left. It was like we walked on the set. Hey guys, how you doing? Let's go to work. And it was like a homecoming. It was like it was a family reunion. It was great. It was great.
Very cool. Would you call this a resurrection? This latest film. Would you call it a resurrection of Axel Foley? Would you call it a comeback, a reboot? How would you don? What would your description of it be?
Well, it was a resurrection, and there's other, there it really does go back to the '80s, but with a lot of, you know, 2024 technology and all that stuff. I mean, they use a lot of the original music, but would do arrangements, and the heat is on, and
The
the
heat is the heat is back on.
heat is back on, baby. Uh, Yeah, and the Axel F theme and all that stuff, it's all back in there, but with new arrangements. And there's the storyline with Eddie and his daughter, and which brings him back to Beverly Hills again because she gets in trouble. But um, anyway, it's a resurrection, and we had the premiere last Thursday in Beverly Hills, and a premiere, you got a lot of industry people there, so their reactions sometimes are a little different than a regular audience because they look at the technical stuff and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, they were laughing and screaming, and every time one of us came on screen, they'd start applauding and stuff, and it was a great premiere. It was a great premiere, and right before the premiere, we had a proclamation in Beverly Hills before the Beverly Hills sign, "Welcome to Beverly Hills," with the mayor, and he proclaimed June 20th Axel F Day. So now we got a proclamation for the film on June 20th is officially Beverly Hills Cop Axel F Day. So that was pretty cool too.
That is cool. I saw a picture of you recently, and it was the whole gang and all the new cast, and You got
right,
Eddie to get in the picture, but I saw you in there. It's going to be a big deal. This is a you mentioned the '80s, and I think it's so cool because so many of us. I think when the original one came out, Johnny, I was probably in sixth or seventh grade, but I
right,
remember that. And now, my kids are going to be watching four, and they might not remember the original one. They're going to be watching it on Netflix. So
right.
that '80s theme, I think, really hits home with this when you're talking about going into a premiere, because I would know nothing about this. Well, yeah, I've done a couple goofy baseball commercials, but as far as a premiere for a big film, you've been through a lot of them. When you go into that theater, is do you, is there angst? Are you like, all right, what the hell's going to happen here? How's this crowd going? Are you hanging on every word? Are you looking around every funny point where you think's funny, or let's see how they react to this? What's that like getting ready for a premiere when there's high expectations?
Well, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, with the first one back in '84, I mean, we couldn't. None of us can believe it's been 40 years. But with the first one, we really didn't know what we had. We went to work, did a movie, and that's it. You don't expect it's going to be the biggest movie of the year. But that premiere was a little testy, because of the industry people, and Eddie was a little nervous, and we were all a little nervous about it. But a couple of nights after that premiere, Judge and I decided to go to a regular theater and see it with a regular audience to see how they would respond. And man, they were hooting and screaming and laughing, and we looked at each other and said, "We better get the hell out of here," and we left. So yeah, you don't know. My whole background is theater, so I did a lot of theater before I ever I got my degree in theater from USC actually, but I did a lot of theater. And when you're doing theater, when you're on stage, when you got the audience, you can feel it. You got that vibe, and you get an instant reaction from an audience when you're doing theater. When you're doing film, the set has to be quiet. So, it's dead silent. So you never know. Did that work? Did that work? Did that work? You don't know. So it's a little different atmosphere, but um, yeah, it was great. I was going to say that the first scene on this film that the three of us did together was in a car scene at the end. The three of us in the car, and we got in that car, and you mentioned you were 6 or 8 years old or something when it came out. Well, one of the crew guys came over and was adjusting my microphone or doing something. He said, "I want to tell you something." He said, "I was 8 years old when this one came out, and to see the three of you guys back in that car gives me goosebumps." So, I mean, that was a great feeling. The crew was great. They were all very, very responsive and stuff. So, yeah, it was great. It's
That's
great.
cool. And you mentioned Judge Reinhold, and you guys are you're like the Keystone Cop. I mean, for me, I put it in sports terms. It's like it's the second baseman and the shortstop. Whenever I think of Beverly Hills Cops, Eddie's out front, and he was the star of the movie. But you and Judge have kind of resonate with the audience, and it's always like they put you together. It's like it's Reinhold and Ashton. It's I don't know. Do you say over the years you've stayed in contact with him more than anybody else? Do
Right.
you feel that way when it comes to that?
Oh yeah, we're very comfortable together, and I mean, the audition for the first one was a kind of funny audition. I mean, I auditioned. I did a play with Ed Harris, and the casting director saw the play and called me in for a meeting for Beverly Hills Cop. And she said to me, "John, there's nothing in this movie for you, but I saw you in the play, and I wanted to meet you, and I thought you were terrific, and blah blah blah." And I said, "Okay, thank you." And about a month later, I got a call, and actually, Mickey Rourke was originally going to do Beverly Hills Cop, and then it went to Sylvester Stallone, and then it went to Eddie. Well, every time I went in, it was with I only read one scene. I never read the whole script. So at the final audition, like the fifth one, there were all these actors in the hallway, and and they were pairing everybody together, and they just randomly picked me and Judge. They said, "Okay, you," and Judge and I got paired. So he came running over to me and he said, "Hey man, what'd you think of the script?" And blah blah blah. And I said, "I don't know. I never read the script." And he went, "Are you kidding? You never read the script?" And I said, "I have no idea what this movie's about." So he said, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" And he starts freaking out. And I said, don't worry about it. We'll just wing it. We'll have a good time. Don't worry about it." So we went into the audition, and of course, there's 30 people in the room, the directors and the producers and the studio people and all these people. And we were reading a scene with the captain, and right in the middle of it, I turned to Judge, and I said, "Billy, would you wait over there for a minute? I want to speak to the captain for a minute." And Judge kind of backed off, and I looked at the actor, and I said, "Can I get a new partner? Because this guy's a real pain in the ass." And the whole room laughed, and we got the job, So they actually wrote that scene in the film. And by the time we ended up shooting it, we were going to shoot it. Marty Brest, the director, came over to me and he said, "Do you think we should shoot this scene?" And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well," he said, "I love the fact that you're this harried husband putting up with the wife beating and the blah blah blah." And he said, "I'm afraid if you ask for a new partner, you're going to look like a bad guy." So I said, "Let's not shoot it." So we never shot it. So.
Cool. The behind the scenes stuff we don't get to really know about. Pros and cons of doing a sequel to a huge blockbuster hit. Are there any cons to it? I mean, is there what's the pressure like? The expectations? I don't know. You tell me. Pros and cons.
Well, I mean, the first one, there was no cons. I mean, we didn't know what we were having. We didn't know. The first scene we shot in the first one was the three of us in the strip joint scene. And that's the first time we all met together. And that was the first scene we shot. And we instantly got a relationship. I mean, we instantly became friends and trusted each other's talents. So the fourth one, there's a little more pressure because the expectation of this film was huge. So there was a little more pressure, but not that much for us. I mean, we're very comfortable with each other, so there wasn't that much pressure on us. We just did our job.
I look at this and you refer to the 80s, and I think it's so cool because that's when I grew up, and that was my junior high and high school years. Recently, Top Gun had its sequel come out, Maverick, and there was a lot of time in between those two.
Yeah,
that brings me back to my younger years.
And that's Jerry Bruckheimer too. That's how great a producer he is.
Yeah, and a huge hit. I mean, I think Maverick broke a ton of records.
Yeah.
You mentioned
this one is through, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be awesome. By the way, for you, those of you listening to the Bret Boone podcast, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F will be coming out on July 3rd is the launch date on Netflix. So you definitely got to check it out. I'm going to check it out. We've seen the trailer, but going back to when you guys got back together, okay, and you said it's been, for you, the original one was 84. You shot one in 94. So it's been 30 years since you saw a bunch of the guys.
Well, I did the second one. I did the second one in 87. Yeah. 87.
Oh, that's right. Second one. Oh, 94 is the one you missed.
Yeah.
94 is 3. You did the second one in 87. So 35 years since you've been back with the crew. And you said it was like you never missed any time. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, I wonder if for Johnny, if it was like going to spring training.
Yeah.
Getting loose, or was it like going to an old timers game this time around?
I think it was spring training. I mean, it was fun. I mean,
nobody got hurt. Nobody pulled a hamstring.
No, look, when you were playing ball, if you got traded or something, and you got to play with another friend and on another team, you guys were friends, so you just play ball together and you go to work, and that's kind of what it was.
Let's see. I got so many questions about this. What do you think's in it for Eddie Murphy? What do you think at this stage of his life, his career, got him to do this film?
Well, the script for one thing, he went through a lot. I mean, they went through so many directors and scripts and stuff in the last 20 years trying to get this done again. And and I knew once Eddie and Jerry Bruckheimer were involved that it was going to be right. And it was just it's great to see him doing Axel Foley again. It really, I mean, Eddie's played so many great characters, Nutty Professor and all these other things, but to see him back doing Axel Foley is very cool, very cool.
You guys, I'm sure you've been doing a ton of press. You're going place to place.
Oh yeah.
What are they? What are they? What is the most asked question? What have you been asked mostly about?
Uh, how was it getting back together again with the guys? I mean, that's the first question. I just got back from LA, so I went to New York before that to do the Today Show, and Al Roker was wonderful. By the way, he's a big fan, and it was a good interview. That was fun, and I flew from New York to LA for the premiere, and of course we had 2 days of press junkets and stuff, so it was pretty tiring, but that was almost always the first question. What was it like getting back together again? And it's the same answer. It was like a family reunion. We just, hey guys, how are you? Yeah, let's go to work. It's like we never left. It was great.
I'm seeing now with Vegas. You're probably familiar with the new place that just came out, the Sphere in Vegas, where they're doing a lot of performances.
Right.
YouTube is or U2 is run there. Now the Eagles are there. I'm just getting this 80s theme. You brought the 80s up in the beginning, and that was the majority of my questions. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Karate Kid, that Cobra Kai that was out on Netflix. That's 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing all this. What's so nostalgic about the 80s, and why now that they're bringing all these things back? Because it seems like everything's going back to the 80s and everybody's reliving it. The generation that's here now, my kids are always talking about Dad, when you grow up in the 80s, they're talking about cool stuff. I think this year, Johnny, the name Chosen, which is from the Karate Kid franchise, it's the number one name that people in the United States are naming their kids. Another 80s theme thing. Why do you
Really?
think there's so much nostalgia to the 80s?
Well, I mean, we've gone through a lot of technology and stuff, and all this stuff. I think people really want to see relationships again. And I mean, there's a lot of action and a lot of stuff in this movie, but there's also a lot of relationships, and I think people are just getting tired of all cartoons and monsters and Godzilla and all that stuff. They want to see people react to one another. I mean, Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson and we, not knowingly, but we really created the action comedy buddy hero. We really did. I mean, Lethal Weapon and all that stuff came after us. But we really created the action comedy buddy movie. And I think people want to see people react with one another and have some personal relationships. I think they're getting tired of all this technical blow-ups and all that stuff.
Well, I'm tired of it. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing this movie. And
Hey, you know what? What's cool? I'm gonna tell you, Netflix has never done this before, by the way, and I found this out. But when it opens July 3rd, when you go to Netflix, it goes right to the movie.
really,
Yep, it goes straight to Beverly Hills Cop Axel F.
that's gonna be. It's like you're Johnny. You're going to be famous all over again. We're going back to the 80s. Oh, I'm kidding. Johnny's been.
Oh, what was I washed up before or something, or what?
And we all go. We ebb and flow. No, Johnny's done so many films. You've been in. Oh, I was looking through them all today before you came on. I remember you from obviously Little Big League, but we go back to Some Kind of Wonderful was unbelievable.
Yeah,
For me as a kid. Midnight Run's a classic with De Niro.
yeah.
For those of you out there want to see a classic, you got to
That's
go.
one of my. That's probably my second favorite next to this is Midnight Run.
But I'll tell you,
And
Go
I
ahead.
work with Marty Brest again on Midnight Run, who directed the original Beverly Hills Cop. So I'm the only actor that's ever worked with Marty Brest twice. So I have
Yeah.
that distinction.
But I always I still call you once in a while, and kiddingly, I'll say, Taggart, what are you doing? Because that's what I remember. I think the first time we met, I said, it's Taggart.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure a lot of people recognize you as that. All right.
Oh, I get that on the street all the time. Hey, and when it first happened, after the first one came out, a couple of days after it opened, I flew back to New York to do a couple of talk shows. And I was walking down the street in New York, and all I heard was, "Hey, Taggart, don't let
Yeah.
him put a banana in your tailpipe." Hey,
Yeah.
Taggart. And I got a little upset because I've done so many other things, and I went,
Yeah.
"Wait a minute, man! I don't want to be known as Taggart the rest of my life." But after a while, I just I relish it now because there's not too many actors that can put a stamp on a character they'll be known for eternity for, and I'm very proud of that now.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. That's a great point because, especially when we're younger, we kind of resent, oh, wait a minute. No, I've done more than that. I've done this and
Right,
this and this. And as you get older, you tend to appreciate that. There's not
right,
too many people walking around that you could be anywhere in the country and they say Taggart because of a role that was so close to them and they
right.
remember it so iconic that you're tied to that. And I think that's awesome. You said that as we get older, we start to soften up and we embrace it instead of, no, I did this, and this, and this. It's
Yeah,
like, it's pretty awesome, especially when it's that big of a film. All right. For
yeah,
those of you that don't know, Johnny he's a big sports fan, and he's a bigger than that Yankee fan. So I want to know. I need to get uh, Taggart's take on the Yankees this year. What you're seeing, what you're expecting. I know you always have high expectations.
yep.
Remember,
Well,
Uncle Aaron's going to be listening. So give me
yeah.
your take. Give me your take so far.
Well, I was really upset last night and the night before when they lost to the Mets. I mean, you know, uh, they had a chance there for a while when it was 7-2 after Judge hit the home run, and then after when it got to be 10-2, I said, okay. And then the night before, and two nights in a row, the first night before last, they had bases loaded with no outs and they couldn't score, and that really pumped the Mets up. And then last night they had bases loaded with one out and couldn't score. They pumped the Mets back up, and I was going crazy. But your brother Aaron's doing a great job, I think, and Aaron Judge is just having a terrific season. He's on track for his 22 season, and some of the guys got to get healthy again, and we got to get him healthy and get him back in there, and we're going to do great. We're going to make the playoffs for sure.
No, I think it's great too, and they've done. They ebb and they flow because a few weeks back they came through San Diego and man they were on fire. And I
Yeah,
remember doing my work around the week and you know analyzing Major League Baseball consistently for me is what I do now. And I just said anybody I talked to, I said right now you do not want to play the New York Yankees because they are rocks. They're on a rock tour and they were just
yeah,
beating the tar at everybody they ran into. But this season, I've been there, done that too many times to know that over 162 games, there's going to be a few valleys. The key
yeah,
is to keep those valleys to a minimum. But
yeah.
they're going through a little bit of a tough spot right now. The good news is they built up such a nice cushion as far as a playoff spot. And as you
Right,
know, it's different nowadays. It's not like it used to be where 162, you've got to, oh man, you've really got to come out on top. No, it's a marathon, and there's six seats at the table
right,
in each league now. So it's easier to make the playoffs. So you just got to make sure
right.
you're playing your best ball when you get to that point in the season.
Yeah, I know. I was back in New York, last week to do the Today Show, and I flew in Sunday, and we had talked before I went back to New York, and you asked me if I was going to go to a game. Well, I flew in Sunday, but they were playing in Boston on Sunday night, so I couldn't go Sunday night. I was busy anyway, and then Monday they were off, and then Tuesday I flew back to LA, but they were playing Baltimore that night, so I never got a chance. But I'm gonna go see them. I got to go see them. They might play the Rockies here. So if they play the Rockies here, I'll go for sure.
You might. Well, that'll be after the premiere, so you might be too big. You might need an escort to go down on the field.
Well, you never know. You never know.
And you're in New York. The Mets are playing great now. They were dead and buried a month ago. They're starting to play better.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm thinking to myself last night. They're a 500 team and we can't beat them. There's 38 and 39 and we can't beat them.
I'll tell you what. That's baseball, baby. It's
yeah,
tough.
but they're hot now. Their bats are hot. Mets
Yeah.
bats are hot. Yeah,
They're playing good. It should be interesting. Well, Johnny, I appreciate you taking some time, man. All the best
anytime.
with this premiere. I think it's going to be huge. I'm really happy for you, and I think this is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see the film. For those of you watching the Bret Boone podcast on YouTube or listening to it on the Odyssey app, wherever you get your wherever you download your podcast, check out Beverly Hills Cops, Axel F, coming out July 3rd. Be there. I think it's going to be awesome. Johnny says as soon as you turn on Netflix the morning of the July 3rd, it's going to pop right up on your screen. So make sure you check it out. And Johnny, I'll run into you when I run into you. I'll see you down the line. Maybe I'll see you later in the season at a game or something. I appreciate you coming on.
Hopefully we can play some golf together. I'm playing terrible right now, but maybe we can get together and play some golf again.
So am I. I'm going through a swing change. I still suck.
well, I haven't been able to play. I've been busy on my game. I went from a 6 to an 8 to a 9.5, so I'm really sucking.
I'm trending in that way too. All right, Johnny.
Thank you, Booney.
You got it.